Thinking, the action of using your mind to produce ideas, decisions, memories. The act of thinking about something. Scientists have found that animals think, much like we do. They learn, they remember, they use logic to make decisions, and they produce new ideas to solve new problems. In the most studied animal of all, the rat, scientists have found that the rat and human brain are remarkably similar in structure and function. And they possess metacognition, which is, put simply, thinking about one's thinking, and refers to the processes used to plan, monitor, and assess one's understanding and performance. It includes a critical awareness of A, one's thinking and learning, and B, oneself, as a thinker and learner. They have episodic memory, a type of long-term memory that involves conscious recollection of previous experiences. Episodic memory was once thought to be unique to humans, but there's now ample evidence that core properties of episodic memory are present across mammals as well as in birds. We now know that animals survive, not just by instinct, but by learning and remembering, by making decisions, by solving problems, and passing their knowledge on to new generations. Just like us, other species have to learn how to live and survive. Just like us, their development comes from a combination of instinct, acquired knowledge, and flexible intelligence. Our most uniquely human feature, which is our language, we acquire instinctively by imitating our parents. We then use what we instinctively acquire in a flexible way. And other species do the same. Birds learn to sing in much the same way humans learn to talk, by imitating their elders. They create and improve their own repertoire after learning the fundamental rules from their parents. Researchers found that adult finches guide juvenile song development through specific interactions, similar to how human babies learn to talk. Birds employ syntax and grammar in ways that parallel human speech. Sparrows learn individual notes and grammar, and then put them together to make songs. Scientists found they could teach wild sparrows new songs, and even how to sing them backwards. Contrary to Descartes' claim that animals are programmed by nature, we now know animals live and survive through learning. Like humans, the majority of species learn by observing their parents and others of their kind. This is known as social learning, and it's found across almost all species, whether they walk, fly, or swim. In the wild, animals have to learn everything, from their home territories and migration routes, to how to build their homes. When it comes to some of the most complex home buildings, such as birds' nests, we know very little about how fine-grained elements are passed on. It is clear that nest building is not some genetically programmed instinct. It requires not just considerable experience and skill development, but is also a product of social learning. Birds imitate the nests in which they were raised, and the final arbiter is female approval, based presumably upon what the female has learned about acceptable nest construction, based on what she knows about the design of other nests in the community. Birds adapt and change building methods between one nest and the other, as well as the locations and materials they use. Bowerbirds observe older members to learn how to build their unique nests. Orangutans also learn nest building by watching others. Many essential life skills are passed from generation to generation through social learning. Young orcas learn from their elders the identity of their clan and how to hunt and travel. Their newborns accompany them, learning from their mothers a specific migration route that they will then follow for the rest of their lives. Beluga whales travel more than 6,000 kilometers every year, following ancestral migration routes passed down from mother to child. Young birds learn and remember landmarks on routes that can be up to 44,000 kilometers. Animals traveling at night learn and remember the patterns of the stars. Researchers found that seals can recognize stars and groups of stars inside a planetarium. Mallard ducklings learn and remember migratory routes over 1,000 kilometers. Young geese learn migration routes by following their parents and other experienced geese, and can be taught new routes by people who raise them, by leading them in an ultralight aircraft. Parents and elders teach the young through example how to find food or water when it becomes scarce because of drought or other environmental change, how to avoid or ward off predators, and how to adapt to harsh environments, including life-threatening cold and heat. Without this essential education, a young animal's life would be very short indeed. Knowledge equals survival, and young animals have to acquire their knowledge. Everything from where to look for food and what to eat, to how to use tools and spot danger. They learn the territory they will inherit, who their relatives are, and the identity of everyone else in their group. Animals quickly learn to recognize each other, even over long distances, or in large groups. Cape fur seals learn to recognize the voice of their pups just 2 to 4 hours after birth. Sheep learn and remember the voice of their lambs in just 24 hours. King penguin chicks learn their parents' calls within the first month, and they can recognize each other amongst thousands of voices. Researchers believe that over time they can learn the acoustic landscape of the whole colony and navigate it by the unique sounds of their neighbors' voices. Ducklings are able to identify their own mother and siblings by sight. Within hours of hatching, these baby birds can learn concepts like same or different, and they do so faster than human infants. Far from Descartes' idea that animals know nothing, today we know that other species have powers of recognition and memory that far exceed our own. Researchers have found that some birds can remember up to 20,000 different locations, and elephants can keep track of the locations of as many as 30 companions at a time. They have found that chimps are way ahead of humans in complex memory tests, and pigeons can easily complete a memory task so complex most humans would have trouble with it. They have found that squirrels are capable of remembering where thousands of nuts are buried for months at a time, and remember specific details such as size, type, nutritional value, and taste, organizing them based on these properties. Researchers found sheep also mentally categorize plants by their species and teach their young how to self-medicate with medicinal plants. They found that chimps use 200 different species of plants for nutritional or medicinal purposes, and they use long-term memory to remember feeding experiences long after the trees have been emptied. Researchers showed that orangutans remember the distant past and talk about it, that birds remember how to return to their nests after years have passed. that squirrels remember how to solve puzzles years after learning them. That bats remember sounds they haven't heard for over 4 years. And sea lions and elephants remember faces from decades ago. Researchers showed that both wild and domesticated animals recognize and remember us by our voices and our faces. And some can even identify us in photographs. In one study, sheep were able to recognize a specific familiar stockman from their face picture and exhibited an emotional response after not having seen this individual for over a year. Science has been consistently proving that animals of all kinds have powerful memories. But we don't need studies to know animals remember, because we know they remember us. For a lifetime. We know that animals store us in their long-term memory because they visit people who have helped them in the past. Sometimes throughout their entire lives. Today, we know animals have incredible memories. But back in the 17th century, Descartes had no knowledge of this. He didn't know that animal memory could outdo his own. He didn't know that animals survive by remembering, by learning, and by using knowledge, thought, and reason to make decisions.